Ah, the morning routine. Grabbing your paper, getting a cup of coffee, and easing your way into the day before it gets too late. It's a time-honored tradition, at least in my family, and the sense of nostalgia is always nice. But you didn't tune into this program to learn about nostalgia. We've actually got the newspaper up, and the coffee because we need it, but we've got the newspaper up because it's a great tool to help us answer this increasingly vital question. What the hell is news? So newspapers make it pretty easy because they have a news section and a sports section and any other type of section you want. It's all indexed right here. And what does that mean? Well, it means a couple of things for us. Firstly, anything covered in the news section has a strict set of ethics governing the reporting. Right? It's voluntary set, but they are a universal set of ethics that governs that. Generally, journalism ethics require a lot of things. That there be a point and a counterpoint, that both sides are discussed, that anyone mentioned, any high-level person, be given the opportunity to comment directly, and that all facts, especially those from anonymous sources, are doubly and sometimes triply verified. Additionally, most news stories will also provide vital context. In addition to just this is what happened, they'll provide vital context so you can actually understand the impact of what you're reading. Now we'll go to a clip where we've actually color-coded it here for you to see. Sources are here, context is here, chances to comment over here in yellow, and counterpoints here. It's a pretty good system that actually works pretty well. But we can't just survive on facts. We don't want to survive just on facts. We're a very funny species, right? So it's nice to hear opinions and color every once in a while. And for anything like that, such as advocating a certain position, defending a specific policy or viewpoint, or generally taking a stance on anything, it must occur according to the ethics in the editorial section. In this section are the opinions. You have columns, which are usually written by contributors and some staff writers and cover a variety of subjects, although most tend to focus on political, social, and cultural commentary. Then occasionally, you'll have an editorial board writing, which expresses the view of that paper's leadership. This usually happens around election time. If you think back to 2016, and if you look forward to 2020, all the newspapers throughout the country will start to come together and tell you whom they endorse for the presidency and for other statewide offices. This paper that we have today, doesn't have one of those because it's not election time. But you also, in addition to those, you have letters to the editor. These are the opinion pieces that you and I can send in. I don't like this. I love this. And finally, you have op-eds, which are opposition to the editors, or pieces counter to the stance of the editorial board. These are often included, especially after a big stance is taken, to ensure balance. They're also sometimes written by political figures. You'll see quite frequently that leaders in our government will write op-eds in the New York Times or Washington Post or other large national newspapers of record. It's worth noting, though, that opinion here does not mean the Wild West. It doesn't mean you get to say whatever comes to your mind. The Society of Professional Journalism, or the SPJ, who is the gatekeeper of journalism ethics here in the US, actually has strong guidelines for opinion pieces as well as regular journalism. For more information, we definitely encourage you to check out the SPJ and their code of ethics. Newspapers are great because they really label these things and these types of information very clearly. So there's never any question on what you're reading. If you want a balanced presentation to the news, just stick to the first page, right? Or the second page or the third page or anything in the news section. If you want some opinion, flip back to the editorials. It's labeled opinion. There's no question. However, in television and social media, which is where most of us get our news, those labels often get obscured, missed, or even downright removed. Take these shows, for example. All of these shows that we're showing are opinion shows. Yet I bet you, or someone you know, thinks of them as news, and more concerningly probably treats the information that you get from those shows as news. But they're not news. They're opinion. And because they're opinion, they don't have to present equal evidence or a fair narrative. They don't have to get quotes from people that they're talking about. They don't have to show both sides equally. These articles that we're posting from social media also are opinion pieces. They're very sneakily labeled. You can see that the opinion part is not really very visible. But can't newspapers still be biased in their news reporting? Of course they can be, and they are. Every source of information on this entire planet is biased. I'm biased, you're biased, everybody's biased. Let's get that out of the way. But not in the same way that opinion pieces or even shoddy journalism are biased. If you don't remember anything, please stick on for 10 more seconds. I don't want you to walk away saying every piece of news is biased, because that's not the takeaway here. Remember, any news item from a reputable source still has to follow the ethical guidelines. So while their bias might show in small ways like the titles they use, the pictures they choose to accompany the articles, or even the topics they cover, reputable news sources still must follow those guidelines we mentioned earlier. They must provide both sides. They must give every notable person mentioned a chance to respond, and they must doubly and sometimes triply verify everything they report. So equating a bias that you might see in a reputable news source like a newspaper to the bias you might see in shoddy journalism or opinion news pieces is kind of like saying that eating a small Reese's peanut butter cup is just as bad as eating an entire chocolate cake because they both have sugar. It's not. They're not the same. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater on this. See, a well-informed populace is integral to a functioning democracy. We've heard that. People mention that all the time because it's true. It's important. Without a common set of facts, how is a country supposed to agree on common laws and policies? So the health of our democracy is truly in our hands as we read this newspaper right now. We must hold ourselves to a higher standard of information sharing. We must all work together to understand, share, and appreciate the objective truth. Or at least that's the objective. Thanks, everybody. It's kind of fun to show my face finally from behind the scenes a little bit. And we hope you enjoy. We hope you keep watching. Thanks so much. Bye.